someone's heart is breaking quietly. And the reason is that they're still waiting for you. My beloved child, in the hush of this unfolding moment, I want you to listen not with your ears, but with the trembling corners of your heart. Because somewhere in the quiet corners of a room you cannot see, someone is holding on to your memory like a fragile thread of light. And their heart is breaking quietly, softly, silently because they are still waiting for you. They have walked through days that felt like winters without warmth. Nights that echoed with the ache of unspoken words, and every step they take carries the weight of a promise that was never fully broken, only paused in time. The world sees them smile, but their soul whispers your name like a prayer no one else can hear. They replay the moments when your laughter filled the air, when your presence made everything brighter. And now in your absence, every shadow feels longer, every silence feels heavier, and every heartbeat feels like a question, searching for an answer that only you can give. They never told anyone the truth because how do you explain to the world that the reason you still wait is not weakness but love? A love that refuses to fade even when time keeps moving forward. And as the days pass, they find themselves standing at the edge of memories that refuse to fade. Like footsteps engraved into wet earth, refusing to disappear no matter how many storms wash over them. They sit by the window sometimes, not to watch the world outside, but to feel closer to you, as if the wind might carry a trace of your presence back to them. They hold on to little things, a word you once said, a glance you once shared, a promise that was never fully spoken, but deeply felt, and those fragments have become their universe. The world believes they have moved on, but inside they are still standing in the exact moment when you walked away, frozen between hope and heartbreak. Every night when the world grows still, they whisper into the darkness, asking whether you ever think of them too, whether your heart ever reaches out in the same invisible way. Whether somewhere inside you there is still a place where their name lives untouched, unforgotten, unbroken. They are not angry. They are not bitter. They are simply waiting because their soul believes that your story was never meant to end in silence. In the spaces between breaths, in the fragile distance between longing and reality, they hold on to a feeling that others would have abandoned long ago. But they cannot because loving you became a part of who they are. They walk through crowds but feel alone because every face reminds them that none of them are you. None of them carry the same warmth. None of them carry the same echo of destiny that your presence once brought into their life. There are moments when they almost convince themselves to let go, to close the door on what was, to bury the ache beneath layers of acceptance. But then a memory resurfaces, a small one, a simple one. And suddenly their heart is pulled back to you like a tide returning to the shore. They find strength in believing that maybe somewhere beyond the present moment, fate still has something left to reveal. Something that explains why your paths crossed in a way that changed them forever. Even if they never say it aloud, even if no one else understands, their heart beats with a silent truth, they are still waiting. Not because they cannot move on, but because a part of them believes you were never meant to be a passing chapter. You were meant to be the unfinished sentence that destiny intends to complete. And as they wait, something inside them begins to transform, not into despair, but into a quiet resilience shaped by love, hope, and the depth of everything they felt when you were by their side. They have carried your absence like a hidden scar, but also like a compass, guiding them back to the parts of themselves that were awakened by your presence. Every tear they hide, every emotion they bury, becomes a silent testament to how deeply they cared, how intensely they still do. They wonder if you can feel it. If somewhere in the stillness of your own heart, there is a faint echo that responds, a pull that reminds you of the connection that once wrapped both of you in something larger than words. They are not waiting for apologies nor explanations. They are waiting for a moment, a sign, a breath in time where your paths cross again and the unspoken truths between you finally step into the light. Because deep down they believe that what brought you together was not coincidence, but a force far greater than circumstance. A force that refuses to let go even when everything else does. So now, as this moment reaches you, as these words settle into the spaces of your awareness, something within you begins to stir because you can feel it. The weight of their silent devotion, the ache of their quiet patience, the unseen tears that trace their nights. Their story is not loud, not dramatic, not visible to the world. It is tender, sacred, hidden beneath the rhythms of everyday life. Yet, it carries the power to shift destinies. And whether you choose to return, whether you choose to reach back into the space where their heart still waits for you, only time will reveal. But one truth stands unshaken. Someone somewhere still holds your memory like a flame cooped between trembling hands, refusing to let it die. Because to them, you were never just a moment. You were the meaning. Listen closely to the turning of time. For in this very moment, the unseen world around you seems to hold its breath as if destiny itself is pausing, to watch what your heart will do next. Because the one who waits for you is standing at the fragile edge of hope. Holding on to the last thread of belief that someday your footsteps will return toward them. They move through their days like a traveler walking through mist, guided not by certainty, but by memory. And every place they go carries echoes of where you once walked beside them. They pass familiar streets, old corners, silent paths, and each one feels like a whisper calling your name. They pretend to belong to the present, but their soul lives in the moment where life still felt complete with you in it. And though the world around them continues forward, inside they are suspended in a delicate twilight of longing and faith, a space where your absence hurts, yet your memory heals. All at once. All the time. There are nights when the silence becomes so loud that it feels like a storm they cannot escape. And in that silence, they speak to you in thoughts that never find their way into words. They wonder if you remember the same moments, the same laughter, the same subtle glances that once stitched your lives together. They imagine you standing somewhere far away, unaware of the invisible bond that still pulls at both of your hearts from across distances that cannot be measured by miles alone. And as they stare into the darkness, they see not emptiness, but the shape of your presence, a faint glow that refuses to disappear. They ask themselves if perhaps destiny is only testing their endurance, measuring the strength of their heart to see whether love can survive the passage of time without breaking, whether waiting can transform pain into something sacred instead of something lost. Yet even in their quiet suffering, there is a strength forming inside them, a resilience woven from patience, tenderness, and the unwavering belief that the story between you is not finished, only paused like a breath held before a revelation. They carry your name like a hidden treasure, protecting it from those who would tell them to let go, to forget, to move forward with an empty heart. But they cannot. Not because they are weak, but because loving you awakened a depth within them that life without you cannot replace. Every memory they hold is not a chain, but a lighthouse guiding them through uncertain nights toward a horizon they still believe leads back to you. And even when doubt creeps in, even when the world feels unbearably quiet, they choose to stay because hope for them is not a dream. It is a promise. And somewhere deep within your own spirit, something begins to stir. A subtle pull, a soft ache, a question rising from the depths of your being, like an echo traveling back along a path you once walked together. You may not fully understand it yet, but you can feel it. That gentle tightening in your chest, that glimmer of recognition in your heart, as if a part of you has always known that someone somewhere still lives in the light of what you once shared. Their waiting is not a burden placed upon you, but a reflection of the impact you left behind. A testament to the way your presence once changed the rhythm of another soul's world. And now, as truth draws closer, the air around your destiny seems to thicken, as though life itself is preparing to reveal something you were never meant to overlook. The reality that your absence has shaped their universe in ways silence could never erase. So as the story moves forward, the horizon trembles with anticipation, and the unseen threads of fate tighten their delicate weave because the heart that waits for you is reaching a moment of awakening. A moment where patience meets destiny, where longing touches truth. Where love stands face to face with what comes next. Whether the road leads back to reunion, to closure, to rediscovery, or to a turning point neither of you expected, one thing remains undeniable. Their devotion has carried your name across time, across distance, across every unspoken feeling. And now the world itself seems to tremble with the sense that something monumental is approaching. Something that will either heal their waiting or change everything forever. In this unfolding silence of destiny, there comes a moment when the heart that has been waiting for you begins to question the difference between holding on and slowly breaking inside. And yet it still chooses to stay because every part of their soul believes that what you shared was not an accident. It was a turning point in their life. They walk through their memories as if wandering through a sacred place, touching every fragment with tenderness, remembering the way your presence once brought warmth to even their darkest days. They recall the way your voice softened their fears. The way your existence made them believe that life could carry meaning beyond routine and survival. And now without you, every day feels like a story half-written. Every sunrise like a promise that never fully arrives. Every night like a whisper reminding them that their heart still beats in rhythm with a name it refuses to forget. They are not lost. They are lingering at the doorway of a love that never found its ending. There are moments when they stand alone beneath the open sky, looking upward as if searching for answers hidden between the stars, asking why life allowed your paths to cross so deeply only to pull you apart so painfully. They wonder whether you ever felt the same intensity, whether your heart ever trembled at the thought of losing them, whether somewhere inside you there still lives a version of yourself that misses the way their presence once completed your world. They try to quiet these questions, but they rise again and again, carried by hope, by longing, by the fragile courage of a soul that refuses to surrender to silence. And even when tears gather in the corners of their eyes, they wipe them away gently, not because the pain has vanished, but because they want to protect the dignity of what they feel, a love that is silent, sincere, and unshaken by time. As days turn into seasons, they begin to understand that waiting is no longer just about you. It is about honoring the truth of their own heart, about acknowledging that what they felt was real, powerful, and transformative. They realized that loving you shaped the way they see the world, the way they dream, the way they believe in connections that go beyond distance and circumstance. They have grown stronger, braver, more grounded, not in spite of the pain, but through it. Their heart has learned to beat with tenderness even while breaking, to hope even while hurting, to stay gentle in a world that often encourages people to forget what once mattered. And in this quiet strength, they begin to understand that whether or not you ever return, the love they carry will always remain a part of who they are, a silent flame illuminating the path of their existence. Meanwhile, somewhere deep within your own spirit, a realization begins to awaken. A stirring you cannot fully explain. A sense that something unfinished still calls out to you from the past. You may feel it in quiet moments when the noise of the world fades and your mind drifts back to a presence that once brought peace to your heart. You may find yourself revisiting memories you thought you had buried. Replaying conversations, recalling the warmth in their voice, the softness in their eyes, the sense of belonging you once felt without understanding its depth. And as this awareness rises within you, a truth becomes impossible to ignore. That someone still carries you within them, not as a wound, but as a promise that has never been closed, never been resolved, never been truly released. And now, as the story reaches this fragile turning point, the air around your destiny grows heavy with anticipation, as if life itself is preparing to place a choice in your hands. A choice that will shape not only your path, but the heart that has waited for you in silence. The world around you begins to shift gently, subtly, drawing you closer to the moment where your past and present may finally collide. Whether this moment leads to reunion or revelation, healing or heartbreak, one truth remains unshaken. Their heart has carried your name through every storm, every silence, every lonely night. And as time moves forward, the question that lingers in the unseen space between you is this: will destiny bring you back to the one who never stopped waiting? Or will this be the moment where everything changes forever? There comes a moment when the heart that has been waiting for you reaches the edge of its own endurance. Where love and pain intertwine so deeply that every breath feels like a quiet battle between hope and surrender. And yet even here they still hold on to your memory as if it is the last bridge connecting them to meaning. They walk through familiar places where your presence once lived in the smallest details. A passing breeze, a quiet corner, a distant echo of laughter, and every fragment becomes a reminder that you were once woven into the very rhythm of their life. They do not cry in front of others. They do not speak of the ache burning within their chest because their grief is sacred, personal, hidden beneath a calm face the world cannot see through. Inside, however, their heart trembles, with every unspoken word, every unfinished conversation, every feeling that was left standing in silence when fate pulled you away. They do not blame you. They do not question you. They only wonder whether destiny will ever allow their story to breathe again. There are evenings when they sit alone in the dim glow of a quiet room, and the stillness feels so heavy that it presses against their soul, urging them to confront the truth they have carried for so long. They replay the moments when you were near, the warmth of your presence, the sense of belonging, the silent understanding that required no explanation. And it feels as if time folds back on itself, pulling them into a world where nothing hurt, nothing was missing, nothing was uncertain. But when the memory fades and reality returns, the emptiness feels deeper than before. And they whisper your name inside their mind. Not to call you back, but to feel alive again, to feel connected to the part of their heart that woke up the day you entered their life. They wonder whether you have forgotten, whether, clear's throat, you walk through your days untouched by the emotions that still echo inside them, or whether somewhere somehow you too are haunted by something you cannot fully explain. And yet beneath all this longing, a transformation has begun to bloom within them. Fragile yet powerful, like a small light rising in a room that once knew only darkness, they have learned to breathe through the ache, to walk through the emptiness with quiet strength, to shape their pain into resilience instead of despair. Their waiting has not broken them. It has carved them into someone deeper, more compassionate, more aware of the unseen emotional worlds that live inside the human heart. They have discovered that love in its purest form is not possession or certainty, but devotion, the willingness to cherish something even when it no longer belongs to you in the way it once did. And though they are still waiting, still hoping, still standing at the edge of a promise left unfinished, they now recognize that their strength does not come from your return. It comes from the courage to continue loving even through silence. Meanwhile, within you, something begins to awaken with a force you did not expect. A quiet discomfort that follows you through your days. A sense that a part of your story remains untouched, unresolved, calling your attention from the depths of your memory. You may feel it when you pass a place that once held meaning. When you hear a tone of voice that echoes theirs, when a random moment suddenly pulls you back into a feeling you thought time had buried. It does not shout. It whispers gently, persistently, reminding you that not every connection simply fades away, that some bonds leave imprints too deep to erase. You begin to sense that the person who has been waiting for you has carried more than just a feeling. They have carried a piece of your soul with them. A piece you may not have realized you left behind when life pulled you in another direction. And whether you admit it aloud or not, the truth begins to form quietly inside you, something between you was never truly finished. And now, as fate tightens the invisible threads between your paths, the world around you feels as if it is slowly guiding you toward an inevitable moment, a crossing of timelines, a meeting of truths, a confrontation with emotions that were never allowed to fully speak. The air grows heavy with anticipation. The heartbeats of destiny echo closer, and everything inside this story stands on the edge of revelation. The one who waits for you has reached a point where love and survival must soon choose their direction. Where their heart can no longer remain suspended in silence forever. And as the unseen forces of life begin to move, carrying both of you toward a moment neither of you can avoid, one question rises above all others. Will your return bring healing to the heart that has been quietly breaking for you? Or will this be the moment where the truth finally steps forward, changing the course of both your lives forever? There comes a final threshold in this journey. A moment where the heart that has waited for you stands at the edge of truth. Where every silent tear, every hidden ache, every unspoken hope gathers into one final question. Whether to keep waiting in the shadow of yesterday or to step forward into a future that no longer relies on your return. They stand in this moment not as someone broken, but as someone transformed by everything they have endured in silence. The weight of memories presses gently against their soul, reminding them of the warmth you once brought into their life. The comfort your presence once gave them. The sense of belonging that made the world feel alive. Yet alongside those memories now stands a deeper awareness that their heart cannot continue to ache eternally in the space between longing and reality. They feel the truth rising inside them like a tide. A truth that whispers that love cannot only exist in waiting. That a soul cannot forever stand between hope and heartbreak without losing itself along the way. And for the first time, they begin to question whether continuing to wait for you means honoring their love or sacrificing their own heart. They walk into this realization slowly, gently, as if guided by an unseen force that has been quietly preparing them for this moment all along. The places that once felt haunted by absence now begin to feel like chapters in a story they have finally begun to understand. The nights that once echoed with longing now feel like passages of growth. And the silence that once hurt them now speaks with wisdom instead of sorrow. They breathe differently, not because the pain has vanished, but because they have learned to live alongside it without letting it consume them. Their heart still carries your name, still cherishes your memory, still feels the ache of everything unfinished between you. But now that love feels less like a wound and more like a part of their soul's journey. They realize that they did not wait all this time out of weakness or dependency, but out of devotion, loyalty, and depth, qualities that define the strength of who they truly are. And in that realization, something inside them stands taller, steadier, braver than ever before. Yet, as fate would have it, just when they begin to find this inner strength, the world around you begins to shift as well, and you feel a sudden pull toward the very emotions you once tried to silence. The echoes of their presence begin to resurface in your life, not as fleeting memories, but as a weight on your conscience, a stirring in your spirit. A realization that the absence you once overlooked has always been more than just distance. It was a part of your story calling you back to what was left unresolved. You begin to understand that their silence was never empty, that their waiting was never passive, that behind every quiet moment they endured, there lived a love that remained faithful to you even when life moved forward. And as this awareness settles into your heart, you find yourself standing at your own crossroads between the life you have been living and the truth you can no longer ignore. Your paths now move closer, not by coincidence, but by the inevitable pull of everything unspoken between you. The world around you seems to slow as if destiny itself is holding open a doorway, offering one final chance for truth to step into the light. Whether your next step leads to reconciliation, to closure, to healing, or to goodbye, the weight of this moment is undeniable. You see now the depth of what they carried, the strength behind their silence, the love behind their waiting, and you realize that your presence in their life was never a passing moment. It was a turning point that shaped both of your destinies. The question that now rises inside you is not simply whether you should return, but whether you are ready to face the truth your heart has avoided for so long. Whether you are ready to acknowledge the bond that time never erased. Whether you are ready to respond to the heart that continued to beat for you in quiet devotion. And as this story reaches its final trembling breath, the universe feels suspended in possibility because everything now rests in the choice that stands before you. The one who waited has reached a place of strength where they can finally choose themselves if destiny remains silent. And you have reached the moment where silence can no longer hide what was left unresolved. What happens next will determine whether their waiting becomes a moment of healing, reunion, or a moment where they finally release the weight they have carried for so long. But no matter which path unfolds, one truth will remain forever. Their love for you was real, unwavering, and profound. And it shaped both your lives in ways that will echo through time. Subscribe our channel for daily prayer prophetic.